Hello, everyone. Thanks for taking a minute to listen to this quick little podcast we're starting up here on campus called Life at the Lake Campus, where once or twice a week I'm going to be interviewing some students, maybe some administration and some faculty to help get the word out there to everybody for what's going on here at the Lake Campus. So I have a few different target audiences or purposes for this podcast that we're going to be starting up. First, I'm going to try to reach out to those entry-level students, those in their first or second year who are still trying to navigate the college landscape, figure out what exactly is going on here. So I'll be asking students what things have helped them throughout their college career be successful, what things these incoming students can expect, what types of events and resources we have going on campus that the incoming students might not be completely aware of. So that's going to be our first kind of main goal, but also I'm hoping that some friends and family members of our students here on campus will be listening as well, because we tend to have this idea that college is a place where you go, you sit in class for an hour and a half, have a paper every now and then, maybe take an exam, then you go home and call it a day. But I've chosen a few students to kind of start this thing off with that have had very diverse experiences, and they've really made the most out of their college life. So they're doing things like getting into hospitals, working clinical. Some of them are leaving the country and doing science experiments. So I'm hoping that we can kind of open the eyes of some of their family members and help them see that these students are really doing a lot more than just going and sitting behind a desk all day. Finally, I'm hoping to reach out to anybody who is thinking about coming to college here, or maybe you've committed to coming to college here, but you haven't started yet. What exactly can you expect? These students are going to be giving you guys some insight as to what all you can be looking forward to. And hopefully it will help you out once you kind of finally step foot in the classroom here and get things going. So with that being said, we're going to start off our first interview here. I have Hannah Ranley. Hannah is a junior/senior psychology major, and she's agreed to kick things off for us. So Hannah, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Excited to be here.
All right, so just to kind of inform everybody, I chose to start things off with Hannah because she's one of our psych students who has been very involved in the program. So let me know if I forget anything here. But first off, you're the Psychology Club president, you're the psych student worker, you're a research assistant in my lab where you run participants through our study with electroencephalography and looking at the effects of concussions. You've taken almost all your required classes so far to graduate with your bachelor's in psychology outside of a capstone and maybe a few others. And so you really pretty much have the entire full experience here. You're right there on the cusp of being ready to graduate. So would you mind giving us just a picture of what it took to get you where you are now? So what things, maybe starting towards the end of high school, that led you to being in that chair?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been extremely involved with a whole bunch of different extracurriculars to the point that I didn't really have time to breathe for myself. But that's just kind of the way that I'm wired and what I'm used to. That's how I work. I thrive on chaos. So I tend to be very involved when it comes to things such as community-based things. I was in drama club in high school and marching band and choir, things that you cannot do on your own. You have to work with other people. And going through high school, I kind of had a realization that I wanted to work with people, especially the adolescent group, because it always kind of feels as if they don't have anywhere to turn. At least that's how you feel when you're in that moment. So after talking to my high school guidance counselor, I realized that I really wanted to go into psychology. And I had heard that the Lake campus had been expanding, and I believe at one point there was actually an article somewhere that we had one of the best psychology programs in the state or the country. I'm not sure which one that was, but I read that, and I think that's just when I decided to commit and go for it, and I've really been loving it ever since.
It's kind of a nice little segue to what I want to ask you about next. So outside of being really involved in the program, I know you have like 17 different jobs, but one of them is going to be at Momentum Counseling Services here. So could you explain just a little bit of how you're able to completely manage this workload of all your classes and the extracurriculars on campus, along with having multiple jobs and also being the singer and guitar player of a band that's popping up around all these local venues?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I thrive on chaos, so I have to keep myself busy at any given moment, otherwise I kind of go crazy. So that involves working 3-ish jobs and being involved in campus. The way I juggle that is I have a planner and I stick to it very religiously, because if I don't write it down, I will likely forget just because there's so much going on. But yeah, basically I live off of my planner, my Remind app in my phone. I don't really know what else to mention about that. What else?
Okay, then. So outside of buying a planner, do you have any other types of advice for students who might be trying to juggle class and work?
Yeah, I would just say maybe take a little bit of time for yourself, whether it be during the weekends or just a couple of hours here and there. Typically on Mondays, I get on campus about noon and then I go to work immediately after, and I won't get home until about 8 p.m. So I had all morning to myself. So during that time, I worked out, I ate a good breakfast, and I got a little bit of homework done. And then when I get home tonight after work, it'll be about 8 p.m., and I will be able to spend my time decompressing, whether that be watching Netflix, reading a book, or just staring at a wall for a couple hours.
Fair enough. I think we all kind of need that kind of stuff. So, changing it up a little bit, for the newer students who are going to be listening to this, what are some things that they can expect that they might not have thought of or been ready for? Or like, is there anything, I guess, that I'm trying to ask, that you wish somebody would have told you coming into college that you weren't aware of?
Well, I will say that I was aware of this, but that I feel like even more emphasis needs to be put on it is that your professors have all of the tools for you to succeed. You just need to make sure you know where they are. So a lot of my professors are very syllabus oriented, where you need to read the syllabus thoroughly, check your due dates every single week, get them written down so you know how much time that you have to plan and get that assignment done. Oftentimes when I was in class, I would think my sophomore year, one of my professors said, well, it was in the syllabus. And I'm like, you know what, you're absolutely right. Like, we are adults now, we really need to get it together, and I think that is a given, but I don't think it's emphasized enough that we are adults, we have to start taking care of ourselves and doing things on our own.
So I'm really glad you say that because, like, being on the other side of the situation, I know, like, this is the time where you start to expect you to kind of handle things on your own a little bit more without necessarily so much hand-holding. So, kind of along the lines of your professors having everything, we have a lot of stuff going on here on campus in terms of resources. Are there any that you find particularly useful or that you've used a lot yourself or you would kind of recommend other students look into?
I would say my greatest resource has been being close with my professors. And that doesn't even have to be on a very personal level. Just having that communication and knowing that if you can't make it to class one day for a valid reason, then they will understand that as long as you communicate that with them. That's probably been my greatest resource personally. I know that we offer on-campus counseling. I just personally have not used that resource, so I can't speak on that. But yeah, I would highly recommend getting to know your professors, even if it's just on a professional level.
And I think that's a lot easier here than at many other campuses because we were
Absolutely.
such a small campus. Everybody's kind of tightly integrated. So I know a lot of us try to make it so it's not so intimidating to try to talk to a professor as opposed to being able to just kind of ask them a question that you need to. So, kind of going along the lines of that, then, are there any unique qualities to Lake Campus that you find endearing, or is there anything that you feel makes us kind of special as a regional campus?
Well, you did mention that we're small, and that might not be for everyone, and I totally understand that, but I love that we are a small campus because I get to know people, and it educates me culturally because we are in such a small area that you think that everyone looks like you, talks like you, grew up the exact same as you, but that's just not true. Even though we are a small campus, people come from all over to come here, and I just think that it's super important to connect with people, like I mentioned with the professors, but also with your classmates. And even if it's just enough of a connection where, hey, I need help on this homework assignment. Like, did you find it? Where at in the book can I find it? Things like that. It doesn't even have to be major. Just little small connections can make a huge difference.
All right, so kind of staying with the sentimentality then, are there any specific memories here that you're particularly fond of? You've been here for what, like 3 years now?
Yeah.
So is there anything that you really look back on and think, man, I might miss that?
I don't know if I should mention this with me talking to you, but um, everything involved with Psych Club has been really amazing. Being able to see people on campus see what we're doing and actively trying to make it a better place for everyone. Painting the Spirit Rock has been so fun, even though it's been very cold for a lot of them. It's still been so much fun, and going to the daycare was really great, getting to interact with the kiddos there, and yeah, just being involved with Psych Club has been a wonderful experience.
That's awesome to hear you say that. Like, it's the whole reason we do this kind of stuff, not just to reach out for the community, but also for the students, get you guys all kind of involved in making those friendships. So you've done awesome so far through this interview. I know we're at like the 10-minute mark, so there's one final question. This is what I'm going to try to wrap up every one of these little episodes by asking the students. But if there was one piece of advice you could give to a student who's going to be coming into this campus for their first year, what would that piece of advice be?
I would say just make sure that you're not afraid to get outside of your comfort zone. A lot of these activities were not necessarily just because I said, heck yeah, I'm excited to do this, but we are here to further our careers. And that's not always just a front to put up, but even if you sign up for something that you may not be excited about, it can turn into something really great. Several events I went into, well, I shouldn't say several, a couple events I went into with Psych Club I kind of felt nonchalant about, and then by the time I got out of it, it was a fond memory that I could look back on. So do things to further your career, but try to find the enjoyment in it as well.
That's a great answer. I feel the same way with some of our events. Sometimes I'm kind of hesitant about them, but they always end up turning out to be really good. So I'm glad you guys get the same experience too. All right, well, Hannah, you made it. That was it. So thank you very much again for being the first one to do this. I just want to tell anybody who might be listening, if you have any other questions that you think I should be asking here, please feel free to let me know. You can either comment on the Facebook link, you can direct message me, or send an email to joshua.ricker@wright.edu. Also, if there's a specific person that you want to hear from on campus, like a professor or a staff member, whoever it may be, send recommendations. We're all ears here. So we're going to wrap up this podcast with that, and I'll talk to everybody next time.